Hey, hey, how is it going? I know it's been a while since I've done a video. As many of you guys know, I've been busy with wedding planning and getting married and a few life changes. So that's why I've been out. But um, as you can see right now, I am in Africa still having the time of my life. It is absolutely gorgeous out here. Um, way, 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 way different than anything that I would have expected. And while I've been enjoying myself, I actually thought it was really important to just take a few minutes out and talk about my experience because it's been a lot different. It's actually been a lot different than what I expected. And it's really caused me to think a lot about what I heard growing up, just some of the different propaganda I was fed, and me actually now being here. It's just like, whoa, how did I not know this? So to just to get into it again, right now I am in beautiful Zanzibar. I'm going to do some videos about this later on, where I just talk about just my experience, what like just being around the Indian Ocean. So I'm going to go more into detail about that. But if you can see, I mean, just some of the beauty that is here. It's just been, like I said, one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. Something that's interesting, something that's really, really interesting is that, while I'm here, obviously, doing more of the resort living experience, I've seen nothing but Europeans. I've seen nothing but, people from Italy, people from Brazil, people from the UK, people from Romania. I've seen so many Europeans coming out here and enjoying and all of Africa, the best of what Africa has to offer. Going on the Indian beach, I'm hearing, Arabic, I'm hearing, like I said, Italian, I'm hearing Portuguese, I'm hearing all these different languages. And I'm looking around and I'm like, this is crazy. Like, it's not what I expected. And so what I'm noticing is that, as an African American, many of us grew up hearing, when you think of Africa, oftentimes you think of, a baby with a bloated belly that you see in some remote village that has flies on their face. And there's this whole idea of like, oh, poverty, impoverished, go help the motherland, go help Africa. They need water, they need food. They don't have this, they don't have that. And so especially as a woman, you never think of Africa as a place that has beauty, as a place that has opportunities for things for you to explore. You never think about that. It's always charity, oh, they need to hear about God, or they need money, or they need water, they need food. It's always like just pushing this poverty story. And so, even one of the reasons me and my husband decided to come out here was because, my husband, he's an African man, and, he hates the propaganda. He loves it out here. He has roots out here, his family out here. And so he was like, when it comes to honeymooning, I want to be home. I want to get away from the American bubble. He's like, I really want to be home. And so this is why, we personally decided to come out here and experience the best that this had to offer. And obviously, me being African American, I, obviously have roots here, but I'm not as closely as connected. And so when I was planning this whole thing, I was planning, okay, where should we go? Just even the whole process of saying, okay, what's available? I was like stunned. I was stunned at the amount of beautiful beaches, the amount of, mountains, just the amount of things that there is out here to do. And I was thinking, as an American woman, why did I never hear about this? Why so many women, when you think of vacationing, they think of, oh, let's go to, Paris, let's go to Italy, let's go to France, let's go to Europe, or let's go to the Caribbean, or let's go to Fiji. Like, women especially, we're marketed this luxury lifestyle, this beautiful lifestyle, all this kind of stuff. But Africa is never on that radar. It is never on that radar. So my husband came to me and he was like, hey, I want to go honeymoon in Africa. I want to spend time there. I was like, okay. At first I thought that was going to be kind of like a difficult thing to find things that we could both agree upon. But I was, like I said, stunned at the amount of just beautiful opportunity. I was just stunned. I was like, there is so much out here. Why have I never heard about it as an American? Why have I especially never heard of it as a Black American? And then, like I said, coming out here, and I see tons and tons of just primarily Europeans, like, vacationing, enjoying this place, like I said, relaxing on the beach, enjoying the local food, enjoying staying in some of these beautiful homes. A lot of them have like African architecture, African inspired architecture. And I'm just like, so you mean to tell me it's like Europe is enjoying this, the UK is enjoying this, but me as an African American that obviously has roots here, I know nothing about it. And so I just started to recognize like, wow, there's a lot of propaganda. There is a lot of propaganda, and it's really sad. It's really sad that, um, you know, especially as African Americans, especially as a Black community, like there is just a huge lack of understanding of what this place has to offer. And look, I'm not a historian. I don't or anything. I'm not a politician. None of that. Like I don't pretend to know everything that this continent has to offer. I'm certainly not, and I'm sure there's a lot of struggles that go down here. I've talked to Africans who are from Africa who have great things to say and have not great things to say. So I'm not going to try to paint this picture of like, oh, everything is perfect out here all the time. Everything's great here all the time. Like there's obviously challenges here, like there are in any other nation, any other continent, any other country, But what I do think is important to understand is that like there is so much more here to offer than what we have ever been told. As an American, as a Black American, as a Black person, there is so much more out here. And just being here, talking with the people, talking with the locals, seeing what nature has to offer, literally, like I'm looking and I see, coconut trees just there, banana trees, mangoes, some of these things that we enjoy, like have to be shipped and imported. It's like, I'm seeing it in front of me. I'm asking for, I don't know, mango juice, and they're literally taking the mango from the tree and then they're like juicing it. Here's mango juice. Like, it's just wild stuff. And I'm like, why did I never hear about this? Why did I never know? And it's, there's something about being here and just getting away from I think just the American bubble that sometimes we were just stuck in, and getting away from all the drama and all the, all the racism. And again, like I said, there's its own problems here. So I'm not going to say that it's just completely perfect here. But I think, especially when you grow up in America, seeing certain things, being told this is how all of Africa is, and they paint an entire continent as just like one small struggle story, a total struggle story. And then you come here and you're just like, if literally everyone across the world, I see people from Europe, I see people from South America, you see people from the Middle East, if everyone across the world is coming to enjoy themselves, to vacation, to relax here, then what are we not being told? What is really happening? What does this place really have to offer? And why are they not wanting to share that information with us? Why are they keeping that a secret? And so, like I said, it has been beautiful. It has been breathtaking. Is this live? Yes, this is live. I think, like I said, I'm in Zanzibar right now. And so the time difference it's pretty significant from, the US, but I thought it was really important to take a few minutes and just share how I'm feeling and how things are going as I am still here, as I am still in the motherland, Zanzibar, Tanzania, Africa, however you look at it. Because like I said, my experience here has just been absolutely breathtaking. The other crazy thing about it is, when I told my family where we were honeymooning, I had some of my family members, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to be going to Africa. Unfortunately, like I said before, many of the thoughts were just like, oh, like why? Because they're thinking back to the images that many of us have seen. The baby with a bloated belly that has flies all in their face that hasn't eaten in days, or the picture of somebody in a war-torn area, or the emaciated, mom, like, just all the struggle stories that we have all been told. And so when I'm telling them, oh, we're going to Africa to honeymoon, they're like, oh, okay. And then I get there and I'm sending them photos and they're like, oh my gosh, like I had no idea, literally had no idea. And like I said, if nothing else, that is the thing I want to get across in this live. It's like, there is so much more that this place has to offer than we have been told. And for whatever reason, whether it's the media or whatever, they're not trying to tell us that. There's obviously reasons behind it. Because like I said, when I go here and I see that majority of people that are actually enjoying the best of this place are people from Europe, people from the UK, and a lot of these places out here, they market to Europe, they market to the UK because that's where the money is coming from. I'm like, there has to be a reason for that. It has to be a reason that so many African Americans who can obviously trace their ancestry here don't see this place as a viable option for them. Don't see this place as a place worth visiting, a place worth checking out. Even if it's just for the vacation, even if it's just to relax or to enjoy, or even if it's just to learn about history. Like this, many times, like I said before, many times this Africa never comes up. It's oftentimes Europe, or it's Paris, or it's Italy, or it's, it's Fiji, or it's Dubai, these different beautiful places. Africa is never on its radar. But what is crazy is that many things that we have and that we enjoy today come from this place. From the things that power our phones, things that power the computer that I'm on right now, the electronics, the gold, the diamonds, the best of the best, the things that literally power modern technology, modern society come from this place. And so it's like, there is a reason that many of us don't know the best that this place has to offer. And again, I'm not saying that it doesn't have its challenges, because obviously it does. Anywhere you go, there's going to have challenges. The roads out here, are pretty bad. Like the potholes out here, it's bad. There's really no other way to put it. And of course, there's, the challenges with infrastructure. Of course, there's different social challenges. Like that's anything. But, what we shouldn't buy or accept is the fact that this is just a total struggle story, that everyone out here is emaciated, living on $1 a day, like that people aren't thriving, people aren't surviving, people aren't happy. Like those are all things that we've been told that are just complete lies. They're just total and complete lies. There's really no way to put it. And like I said, being here, talking to locals, talking to people who are from Africa, there's, people who go back and forth, and they're just like, I don't identify with what I saw online, or I don't identify with that ad, or I don't identify with that struggle story because my family loves this. It's like, we're just told a lot that's not true. And we can no longer look to just a media or an ad, or, even some of those really popular news sources. We can't just look to them as the source of, all information. We have to go and live our own experiences and know for ourselves, like, this is what it is. Because like I said, being here, no one ever could have explained to me otherwise. Like I had to come here myself and know, whoa, this is completely different than what I thought. Let me see. How long will you be there? Yeah, I'm here for about 2 weeks. Well, and here's, another crazy thing too that I can say is that I came here. I actually came not to Zanzibar, but I was in Africa a few years ago on a mission trip. It was the first time that I came. And at that time, I didn't have as much understanding that I know now, just about some of the creepy things that, unfortunately, some of these nonprofits or whatever do. I wasn't aware of that. But at that time, I went on a mission trip, and, we went, and I remember going there, and I had a good time. Anytime you leave the American bubble, I think there's always something to be gained from it. So just leaving that paradigm and being in a different country and seeing a different culture operate, to me, I think was an enjoyable experience. But I remember noticing a few things, like how there was this sense of just like, oh, okay, we're gonna go to Africa. At that time, we went to Tanzania, or Tanzania, however you say it, and we were specifically focusing on the Maasai people. And there is this whole idea of like, oh, the Maasai, they live traditionally, but, they don't have running water, or they don't have enough this, or they need help, they need help learning how to read the Bible, or they need help learning how to do X, Y, and Z. It almost felt, I don't know if the word is patronizing, but it kind of did. I'm not gonna lie. It was like, we as Americans are coming into another culture to try to help, and like I said, I just kind of went along with the experience, but I left and I was just thinking, that's interesting, because like this culture has been around for hundreds of thousands of years. Do they really need our help? I remember thinking these things, and now coming back a few years later, right? And there's this whole idea like, oh, the Maasai, they're this, they're that, they're so disconnected from the world. They're so disconnected from, the society. They need help being modernized. Like this is somewhat of this narrative that I feel like I heard. Going back now, coming back just as a honeymooner, just as somebody who's just enjoying the place, I see the Maasai literally everywhere. I see them like walking around hotels, resorts. I literally saw a Maasai dancing to EDM a few days ago. I'm like, I see them on the side hustling, trying to sell stuff. I see them, on beaches chilling. Like they're just out living their life. And it was a far cry from the narrative that I heard before, which was this idea of like, oh, these ancient people, they need help. They need help knowing how to live. They need help knowing how to survive in their own country. And now I'm going back, like I said, not connected to that. And I'm just seeing them chilling. And I'm just like, it's just really weird. Like, it's just, I don't really know how else to see it. I don't know how else to see it, how else to say it. I'm like, that was weird. And you know, I feel like I needed to have that. I needed to have that experience going with a, a group and kind of, you know, going through that experience and seeing the things that were being done to help them, you know, however you see that. I needed to have that experience and then come back a few years later, not connected to anything, just going on my own experience and comparing the two. Because like now I could go to talk to a Maasai person and there is no incentive. There's no incentive for me to give them money. There's no incentive for them, you know, for me to have to try to push a way of living on them. It's just I'm getting to know them. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, I mean, they're doing fine. They're doing fine in their own land and their own culture. Like that's the way I see it. So I don't know. I mean, there's probably a lot more. Like I said, I have about another week or so here, so I'm sure there's going to be other things that I notice or see or understand or recognize. But like I said, at the end of the day, I think as a person, especially as a Black person, African American person of color, if you ever have the chance to go out here and experience it yourself, I think you should. I definitely think you should. I think you should go here. You know, forget what you hear online, forget what you hear people say. This is a continent. There are countries. I mean, there are so many different cultures in this continent, and I think just so that you can get out of the American bubble, that everything comes from a very skewed perspective. And oftentimes that perspective is from, you know, I don't know how else to say it other than from your centric European perspective. I think it'll be good to come out here and just you experience it yourself and say, okay, how do I feel? Like, how does this bless me? How does this not bless me? Like just so you can have that own experience in yourself. Because like I said, I think there has to be a reason that so much of what this nation has to, or this nation I'm talking about, you know, obviously Zanzibar, but this continent in general, there is a reason that so many of good things that this continent has to offer, we never hear about. We never hear about as Black people. There's obviously a reason for that. And while I can't say I understand all the reasons, I think it's certainly good and it'll be a benefit for you to come out here yourself if you ever have the opportunity. So let me see. Yeah, been to various African countries. There are problems, but there are also millions of people doing very well, very educated, and don't need handouts. Exactly. I mean, like I said, my husband, he's African, and you know, it's funny because when I met him, he kind of educated me on a lot. I came just with ideas of like X, Y, Z, you know, I was like, oh, this and that, and he's like, actually, no, that's not true. My family this, or actually, no, that's not true. My uncle this, and like just, you know, him actually having a family, you know, here and cousins and aunts and uncles, you know, and him being closely connected to his roots, it really started to cause me to question, like, oh, well, okay, maybe I don't know this, or maybe I just was told this, but it's not true. And so, like I said, I think that is one of the things that started to push me to start to question certain things, or for me to desire to learn more. So, you know, as was said before, any country you go to, there's going to be great things. There's going to be not great things. It is what it is. But there's something specific about the continent of Africa because it's so rich in natural resources, so rich in culture, so rich in history, so rich in the things that we need today to live and to enjoy life. There's so much here. Like I said, there is a reason. I think there is very much a reason that people just don't want us to know what it has to offer. And that's why I say, I think if you have the opportunity, especially if you're a Black person, you should come out here and you should experience it yourself and see if you know, you may have a revelation, you may learn something, something may click. Because while there's challenges out here, there's also so many beautiful things out here to offer. And like I said, I'm here and I'm enjoying it, and I'm like, man, I can't wait to come back. I'm already thinking about the next time I can come back. What do you think of a group of Black Americans who claim that their roots are not in Africa? They either claim that they are Jews or they are red. And yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've heard of that. I haven't done enough research on that to feel like I can give an educated guess. And so I'm hesitant to say too much, but what I will say is just strictly from a scientific or biological perspective, like we all know that humans came from Africa. Like, I mean, if you know science, you know, it's like, okay, there's a dominant gene and recessive gene, and all recessive genes have to come from dominant genes. And so it's like African genes are dominant. Like, obviously, it is what it is. So from a purely scientific perspective, everyone can trace their genes way back to Africa. Um, Now, of course, I'm not trying to give like a scientific lesson because that's not my thing. But based upon that understanding alone, I'm like, I don't understand why anyone would say that, because I'm like, I don't think that's scientifically accurate. But hey, correct me if I'm wrong. But I'd have to do a little bit more research to understand why people believe that. I do know that, going back to what I said earlier, because there's so much negativity and there's a huge negative connotation associated with Africa. Africa is usually associated with, okay, poverty, struggle, war, disease. I mean, there's just so much that I think a lot of Black people, they are ashamed, whether it's conscious or unconscious, but they are ashamed to know that their lineage, their blood comes from that place, because it's oftentimes portrayed in a way that's so negative. And so I think sometimes people who are so quick to be like, oh, well, I'm not, they'll be as dark as, I don't know, dark as night. And they'll be the first ones to be like, oh, well, I have Italian in me, or I have Brazilian, or I'm Jewish, whatever. And you look at them and they're just like, you are the blackest thing out there. I think sometimes that can just be self-hate, and that could be due to the fact that there's a huge lack of understanding of the great things that this continent has to offer, and the pivotal role that Africa has played in literally all of civilizations everywhere. And so I do think that is a reason that sometimes there's such a push for Black people in particular to find identities, or to find their cultural identity outside of Africa. But that's just my personal understanding, or my personal take on it. Yeah, as soon as as long as you're Black, you must be from Africa. Yeah, to me, I'm like, that's just obvious. Like, and again, I'm not a theologian or historian or whatever, but I mean, just basic common sense. It's like, yeah, if you're Black, you probably somewhere down your lineage from Africa. Like, I don't understand why that's so difficult. So yeah, like I said, it's been great. It's been great coming out here. It's been great coming out. And then, and another thing I will touch upon, obviously I mentioned this before, my faith in God, to me, is just so it's just like number one. That's so supreme. My walk with God is the most important thing. And oftentimes in America, unfortunately, Christianity, being a Christ follower, whatever, that's oftentimes, it's so associated with this whole white European supremacist agenda. It just is what it is. I don't know how else to push it. And I did it live on this a few weeks ago, where how Christianity is like one of the most African things out there. If we really want to get down to it, it's like honestly one of the most African things from a historical standpoint. And like, so that's a whole nother separate stream. But now just being out here and being this separate place and being completely disconnected from this whole kind of white evangelical, white is right idea of serving God, and just knowing like, hey, God can be found anywhere. God can be found literally anywhere because Christ, the message of God, it's universal. The principle is universal. It is far beyond any cultural narrative. And like I said, just being here, being in a different environment, just continues to remind me that, hey, whether I'm here, whether I'm in America, whether I'm flying to the Philippines, whether I'm, in wherever, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I can connect to God in that moment. I'm not limited by a particular race. I'm not limited by a particular political ideology. None of that. God is far, 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 far beyond that. And for me, just being in this environment has reminded me of that principle, has reminded me on how Christ is beyond all of that, is beyond all of that racial, political propaganda that is used to try to control people. And it's unfortunate that that's what it's been, that it is, I recognize that. But like I said, that's why I think it's really important for people at the end of the day to go and have their own experiences, to not just take somebody else's word for it, but to go and say, okay, this is what you said, that's what you said, but I need to know for myself. Because at the end of the day, it's like, we can't live our life through someone else. We certainly can't live our life from what's being told to us, because the majority of what we've been told, unfortunately, especially in America, it's just downward. It's just a lie. It's just, I mean, the whole fact that we have this whole argument about critical race theory, that there is entire states who refuse to state the obvious, which is the fact that America is racist. That is based upon like racist ideology. I'm like, that's just common sense. But to this day, you have entire states who refuse to accept the basic truth. That to me is a reminder that like, hey, we can't just rely on what other people have to say. I can sit here and talk about my experience. I can sit here and say, this is what God means to me, or this is what it means to be in Africa. This is what it means to be a woman. This is what it means to be married, whatever. But it's like at the end of the day, you as a person have to go out and live it yourself. because that's the only experience that's going to be real to you. So yeah, so those are just my thoughts. Like I said, I've had a great time here. And I'm definitely going to share more of my experience probably once I get back. But I thought it was important to just kind of share my thoughts, why I'm here, why I'm enjoying this environment, because it is absolutely beautiful and it's stunning. So anyways, thank you for those who have been able to hop on. And yeah, like I said, we will talk soon. And I see this is yeah, Laughingly, I agree. What I will say, Laughingly, if you have not had a chance to check out, the stream I did, I think it was like a week or two ago, I would encourage you to do it, because you touch on a few points that I would love to address. I just don't have time to do it now. But you know, I brought in a theologian. He's been studying this thing for decades. He kind of really breaks down just some of the different misconceptions that we've heard. Just regarding Christianity, regarding you know, Africans and just Africa's role in Christianity. So I think it may be worth checking out if you haven't had a chance to do so. But yeah, anyways, it's been great. Thank you guys for hopping on. I know it's kind of like a random hour, but yeah, we will talk later. So thanks again, and yeah, talk soon.